Good afternoon to Queen Edith's residents. I'm Manas Deb, the Conservative candidate for County Council election. I don't support the proposed cycle path in Queen Edith's Way to replace the beautiful cherry trees and the verges, and I'm campaigning against that. The cherry trees and the verges are one of the few residential characters we are left with, and Council's idea of building cycle path at the cost of losing hundreds of trees, including 58 cherry trees on this road and verges, is simply absurd and unrealistic. Council has failed to seriously engage local residents in the planning process, and this has fueled a lot of anger among residents.
So is there anything that you do here to make cycling safer for everybody, and in particular children going to school?
Cycling is required, but it has to be done in measured way. Where the residents are angry because they feel that their voices and concerns are not considered and respected. Lib Dem councillors have failed to stop the proposed drastic changes in the Queen Edith Way highways, and local residents strongly feel that Lib Dem councillors were not active enough to represent the residents' views to County Council, and it's a shame that Lib Dem councillors do not care about the concerns and issues of local residents anymore. And if I'm elected, and I think the first thing I would do is I would start a consultation process with local residents in coordination with Queen Edith's Way Residents Association and the County Council cycle team, because residents must be fully satisfied that their views and concerns are considered and respected by the councillor and also the council cycle team.
So when you're speaking to people on the doorstep, are they saying they're happy with what they've got already, or is there a call for change, a call for remodelling this road?
It's a good question. I have visited thousands of houses in Queen Edith's division so far, and especially the residents in the side streets of Queen Edith's Way and on the main street. They are very angry that without their views and concerns, council team simply went ahead to build the cycle path, which is unnecessarily, especially at the cost of the cherry trees, which will have an environmental impact. And this residential area has lovely trees and verges, and it's part of the residential characters. So there was no need to unnecessarily rock the boat, and consultation was not done enough to take the views of residents.
So do you think if residents were involved more, do you think there might be support, for example, to put segregated cycleways down this road? Or do you think residents are happy with what we've got, which is a shared pavement and cycleway where cyclists have to cross each of the side roads?
I think residents are currently very happy with the arrangement we have. The Queen Edith's Residents Association, they have already collected 300 signatures in support of people's views that there should not be any cycle path. People love the cherry trees and the verges. This is part of the residential characters, and nobody wants to upset that.
Do you think we could do, with support of residents, some more minor changes, for example, then maybe when you get to the junctions, giving cyclists priority across the junctions?
I think that is possible. That's definitely a good idea. But residents must be consulted, because where residents are angry, that they are the people who are electing the representative and sending them to council. And if an elected representative do not listen to residents' views and concerns, then it's no good.
So elsewhere in the city, people don't like this kind of arrangement where you've got cyclists and pedestrians on the path, because there's conflict between cyclists and pedestrians. Is that something you've heard raised here, or are people here quite happy with sharing this bit of space?
People are quite happy sharing the space. As I said, nobody is going to support losing trees. Nobody will support this.
So on Milton Road then, the answer to that has been we've been promised that we'll get the avenue of trees back, but we're going to have to lose our existing trees and they're going to have to be replaced.
Yeah.
You don't think that would go down well here then?
Every constituency is different. Every division is different. Every division has their local issues and it has to be addressed differently. So what works for Milton Road may not work in Queen Edith's Way. And that's what I can say at this point. And that's the reason more than 300 people have signed the petition to stop the proposed cycle path.
So when people say they want to keep the trees, they really do mean they want to keep these existing trees. They don't just mean they'd be happy with a remodelling which replaced some of the trees.
Exactly. They want to keep the beautiful cherry trees and the verges, and they feel it is part of the residential character. And it has always been there since ages, so why to upset it?
Excellent. So should we go to Hills Road and have a look at the cycleway that's being built
Thank you
there?
very much.
So we're now at the roundabout outside Addenbrooke Hospital, and there's some plans to change this again to make it better for cyclists. I think it's one of the aims, safer for cyclists. So what do you think about improving this roundabout?
See, I'm always up for improving things for cyclists. It's important that cyclists have a safe cycle path, which is very important for the community. But what I'm against is, I'm against City Deal plan for the proposed 24/7 closure of Hills Road stretch near Addenbrooke's, because this will create huge traffic congestion in the nearby Fendon Road, Queen Edith's Way, Mowbray Road and Nightingale Avenue. And also the huge delays in reaching A&E could cost lives. And council has not made alternative plan for commuters to reach their workplace. And the Lib Dem councillors have merely went along with council proposal, and this was a serious mistake.
And how long would you think that this closure will last for? How long have you been told it will last for?
We have seen what happened in the other stretch of Hills Road near Sixth Form College. It went forever. So this, I believe, will go at least for 6 months to 8 months. And this will seriously affect the traffic, and it will create havoc for people to reach A&E.
And that pain won't be worth it for the long-term improvements?
No. So that's what I'm against. I'm against the county council not making enough provision for alternative routes. And I'm against this.
So would you do anything? Would you just do the works in a different way? Would you do the building stage in a different way, or would you not do anything?
If I'm elected, I will I will start the consultation process with the Hills Road residents. And I think the best way, in my opinion, is to do it in phases, not do it in one go, do it in phases, keep alternative routes open so that people can reach the hospital on time and their commuters should not be affected.
But as you've said, it's not all about the Hills Road residents, is it? We've got the people who work here, people who use the hospital. They don't necessarily live on Hills Road, so why would you go to Hills Road residents particularly first?
I will start with Hills Road residents, and then I will go to Addenbrooke's, and I will request all the staff members to give their opinions, because it's very important to take people's opinions. Their opinions and views must be respected, and we must listen to their ideas. So yes, definitely I will take the opinions of staff members.
So do you think Addenbrooke's works well with the rest of the city at the moment? Do you actually know who the council representatives on the Addenbrooke's Board of Governors are, and do you think that they are working well with local residents and the wider city?
I think Addenbrooke's is one of the biggest employers in the city. It employs over 9,000 people, and the council, I think there is not enough representation from the council in the governing body of Addenbrooke's. And I think Addenbrooke's must take more councillors and local residents to represent the governing body, which will help the Addenbrooke Trust to run the system more efficiently.
Yeah, so currently we've got one city councillor, one county councillor in whatever it is, 20 or 30 seats. We should have more democracy in...
Absolutely. Absolutely. They should have more public representative in the governing council so that they can influence the decision and manage things more efficiently.
Excellent. So shall we go up to where the works are actually in progress?
Sure. Thank you.
Some of the work is complete on the town end of Hills Road, so it is being done in phases to a degree. You'd have just had more phases and one side of the road closed at a time. Is that what you're proposing?
See, that bit of the Hills Road stretch is disaster because the cycle lane is wider than bus lane, and a lot of old people got hurt by the cyclist because you have floating bus stops, and when the old people get down, they want to cross the bus stop to reach the footpath, and you have a cycle lane in the middle, and cyclists, they cycle at very high speed at times, and a lot of old people, they got hurt, and I think this is a serious health hazard for a lot of people.
And you've actually heard from these elderly residents on the doorstep telling you they've been hurt crossing the cycle path to the bus stops. Is that right?
Absolutely. I've come across some older people in Hills Road as well as in Queen Edith's Way, and they got hurt by cyclists on Hills Road. And I think this is a serious concern for me as a candidate.
So this project here on Hills Road is the City Deal Run project. So what do you make of the management of City Deal projects and the fact that we're delegating all these powers to the three council leaders?
See, fundamentally, I oppose the workplace parking levy proposed by Greater Cambridge City Deal because it will hundreds of school teachers and university staff and hotel staff,
potentially Addenbrooke staff,
Addenbrooke staff, and also Science Park employees. It will be difficult for hundreds of people because of the workplace parking levy, and I'm definitely campaigning against that.
So you'd campaign against that completely, or is it particularly you don't want the public sector workers in schools, for example, Addenbrooke's, to be covered by it?
No, I'm campaigning against private sector and public sector. I feel the workers, not necessarily all of them are highly paid. There are a lot of low paid workers, very hard working staff. They should not be penalized for workplace parking levy, and this is absolutely nonsense and it's bonkers. It should not be introduced at all.
So that's one of the City Deal's policies, but what about the way the City Deal has been set up, where councillors like you, if you're elected, you won't get so many powers on schemes like this because they've all been delegated to the City Deal? Would you take some powers back to the county council?
Yes, I think the fact that devolution deal was introduced so that central government doesn't get involved in all the projects, and county council, the local council, should have more power to look after their community and the requirements, and council should have more power to decide where they should invest money for their residents.
So you think the City Deal arrangements have essentially they've taken powers away from local people and their councillors? Absolutely.
I think the more power should be brought back to county council so that they can invest money where it is required the most.
And what about the mayor then? Because that's another, the combined authority and the mayor, they're also taking some transport powers away from the people who get elected in these elections.
Well, I think mayors should not be allowed to take decision unilaterally. Mayors, when elected, they should sit down and consult with the locally elected members.
And that means all of them, not just the leader of the county council, but all of the members?
Absolutely. Yeah. It should not be just leader of county council. They should consult with every elected councillor from individual division, and their views and concerns must be respected before investing further.
So what are your ideas then for solving, you just mentioned this, we've got traffic congestion here, whether we do anything or not, we've got traffic congestion at the moment, and the city as a whole, we've got a congested city. What are your solutions to congested Cambridge?
Well, there are a few solutions I have. One is, I encourage all commuters to use park and ride, and also cycle wherever possible to reduce traffic congestion. Point number 2, I have in my recent meeting with Addenbrooke Trust, I was surprised to know that Addenbrooke's employ more than 9,000 people and provides parking spaces only for 2,200 employees. I have proposed Addenbrooke's Trust to build one more multi-story car park if possible, and also to introduce parking charges based on income level, and this will definitely reduce traffic congestion in nearby streets.
Yeah, reduce parking congestion.
Yeah,
You're concerned about that. So in terms of making cycling more attractive, what kind of things can you do for that?
See, cycling is good. People should cycle wherever possible. But what Lib Dems are doing, they are obsessed with cycling and they are making it almost compulsory for everyone. They want to put everybody on bike. Now, the old people who are in 80s and 90s, it's really not possible for them at times to cycle. So I think it should not be a force that everybody should be on bike. And cycling, wherever possible, people should cycle. There should be safe cyclist path, and we must encourage council to build more cyclist path, which is good.
Well, what do you think about these ideas that have come from the Conservative mayoral candidate that we should perhaps have an underground for Cambridge, or we should have light rail? Do you think about those more ambitious schemes?
Well,
are they practical?
I'm not sure whether it's practical at this point. I haven't had time to discuss with James Palmer. I don't know what his plans are, but at some point we have to sit down and discuss whether it's feasible for Cambridge, and we need to look at the whole project.
So how would you redesign the bus stop and the road here?
Well, there should be a dedicated cycle path. I have nothing against that, which I approve, but the cycle lane doesn't have to be that wide. So we always had a cycle lane before, and the cycle lane was perfectly okay. Yes, we can make the cycle lane a little bit narrower, and then make the general lane for motor cars a little bit wider, so that everyone can move freely. That's what I would propose. So because right now, when the buses try to go on this road, at times it's difficult for them to
Do you think there's space for a bus lane here, as well as 2 traffic lanes and 2 cycle lanes?
Well, I feel there is no additional space now for a dedicated bus lane. The only way you can have is you have to redesign the whole thing. And the previous design was perfectly all right. There was a dedicated bus lane, and also we had a narrow cycle lane, and which was working. So I have no idea why council decided to make the cycle lane wider and completely discontinued the bus lane.
And do you think they've improved the safety for cyclists here? Do you feel safe cycling down Hills Road on these new cycle lanes?
I don't think cyclist safety has gone up significantly. It has made rather pedestrians more unsafe. So it's a chicken and egg story. You try to make the cyclist more safer, but then you've made older people and pedestrian highly unsafe. The 20-mile speed limit works here in my division, because if people watch the limit 20, they will possibly drive at 20 or 25, and which is make them a little more cautious. But if the speed limit was 30, they would definitely drive at 40, and it will make people's life more dangerous. So I think to an extent it works here, but.
And it works here then, you think, without speed bumps,
but
without sort of
there is no
change.
speed bumps here.
No.
But what I would propose, that you should not make a 20-mile speed limit as a sort of a blanket for all streets. It doesn't have to be. Where you have more density of people and also the schools, I think definitely we need 20-mile speed limit. But in certain ring road, we don't need 20-mile speed limit. So I don't think it should be done as a blanket approval for all streets. It should be case by case.
And Queen Edith's Way, you say, isn't like a ring road. It isn't a through road.
No,
you think it's
no.
definitely it's a residential road.
Yeah, I think it's a sort of residential road. If it was Mowbray Road, I would say it's more like a ring road, because it's a lot of connecting road. But Queen Edith's Way, it's more residential road, and I think it leads to a lot of side streets. So people should drive cautiously at low speed, and also there are a lot of primary schools and one secondary school up there. So I think 20-mile speed limit is not bad.
So a lot of people, when they put in these 20 mile an hour speed limits around the city, they also want the speed bumps and pinch points and things to go with them.
Yeah.
Why does Queen Edith's Way succeed without those, do you think?
Well, I think a lot of residents here, they respect the speed limit because they also have young kids going to schools, and I think the main reason people respect the speed limits, which works for everyone. So that could be an issue here.
So we've come to Topcliffe Way, which is one of the roads where you say people park to go and work in Addenbrooke's. So why is that a problem for a start, and what are your proposals to deal with it?
See, I've been campaigning last 2 years to resolve the parking issues that Queen Edith's residents have been facing. In fact, it's getting worse and worse because the staff members and visitors and other commuters who go to Addenbrooke's will simply leave their cars in the nearby side streets, especially in the morning. If you come in weekdays, it's absolutely choco-blocked.
And what problem does that cause? Does that mean that residents themselves can't park on these streets, or is it obstructing driveways? What's the actual problem with parking?
Couple of things.
Yeah.
Residents have great difficulties finding parking spaces outside their homes because those cars are parked some of the times on their driveway. They can't reverse the car, and also a lot of old people live in this in these side streets, and at times even ambulances find it difficult to access the driveway. So this has become a huge problem, and also a lot of residents, they have guests coming in, and their driveway may not be enough for more than one car, and when the guests come in, they can't find parking spaces, which has become difficult for the local residents. So it has to be resolved, and that's the reason I had meetings with the Addenbrooke Trust and proposed them to build one more multi-story car park and create more parking spaces, and also reduce the parking charges, introduce parking charges based on income level, so that the low-paid staff members who are more in numbers, and they should be more encouraged to park in Addenbrooke's rather than coming here and gridlocking the side streets.
Excellent. So you don't actually think that the answers are things like more double yellow lines or a residence parking scheme here? You think the answer is all with providing a more convenient and cheaper parking in Addenbrooke's?
I think we have to find a permanent solution, because permanent solution is you have to create more space for the staff members, because if Addenbrooke employs 9,000 people, and if they're providing parking spaces only for 2,200, where will the staff members go? So there has to be a permanent solution rather than piecemeal solution.
So as a county councillor, would you also be thinking things like the new Addenbrooke station, making sure that is done quickly and is well serviced by trains, and also bus connections from Camborne coming into Addenbrooke's? Is that an important part of it, or do you think we just need to accept that many of the lower paid people working at Addenbrooke's will drive and provide them with parking spaces on site?
No, I do believe, in my last city council election, I was campaigning for the expansion of the current bus station in Addenbrooke's, so that more buses can come in from places like Camborne and nearby villages. That will definitely reduce the traffic congestion, and I'm actively encouraging people to use park and ride, so that they should park their cars in park and ride, and it should be free. There should not be any charge in park and ride, and they should just catch a bus to Addenbrooke's, and this will definitely reduce the parking problem. And I'm also working closely with our local MP Heidi to see the Addenbrooke train station should come up as quickly as possible, and that will help to reduce the traffic congestion and parking problem.
So what have people been telling you on the doorstep about party politics? What are people's views on the Conservatives, Labour, Liberal Democrats in this ward?
I think so far I have knocked over 3,000 doors, and a lot of hardcore Labour supporters whom we met last year. I think this year definitely a lot of them are not going to vote for Labour.
And do you think that's because of national politics? Is that because of Jeremy Corbyn?
I think one is the Jeremy Corbyn factor, and I think there are they think Labour, is just going down the hill. They have, no, good policies left anymore.
But
And
does it make
also they feel that City Council not doing enough to resolve their problems. And currently, Labour has the majority in City Council. So I think they're fed up with the local City Council and also the Labour in the centre.
And what are those problems then that people in Queen Edith have that feel aren't being addressed?
There are number of problems. One is the parking problem, which remains the big issue, and parking comes under City Council, and City Council Labour has the majority, and Labour is not doing enough to solve these parking problems, and it's been going on for several years, and Queen Edith is neglected, and the Lib Dem councillors who are elected members from Queen Edith division, they are not doing enough either.
Well, the County Council is a highways authority, and the County Council has the enforcement officers. So I think the County Council are primarily responsible for parking, surely.
I think City Council has a big role as well, in terms of the planning permission and how to monitor it, and the local councillors should be responsible to solve the local issues, which they are not doing currently.
So when people are coming to vote for their county councillor, should they be considering national politics at all?
No, they should not. That's what I'm requesting every voters at doorstep, that please do not mix these two issues. This is not central election. This is not parliamentary election. This is local election, council election. So you should choose the candidate who you are going to vote for based on his ability to address your current issues like schools, like roads, lamps, lamppost, the verges, the trees. So they should choose a candidate who can do better for the community. And I feel if I'm elected, I can become their voice, and I can bring in some changes in Queen Edith division.
And do you think that you're hampered at all by the national image of the Conservatives, doing things like cutting child benefit for people's third child this week? Does that harm your chances of getting elected here?
No, not at all. I have not faced any questions so far at doorstep. Yes, last year doctor strike hampered my chances. We had a lot of difficulties because of the doctor strike, and this year I think I haven't faced any strong opposition with Conservative policies so far.
Okay, and just the last question, and do you have a manifesto, the Conservative group, for the County Council, or are you going to be publishing one?
I have a manifesto which you can log into my website, www.conservatives, and then you can see the manifesto.
So you've personally got one. What about the Conservative group? Is there a Conservative group manifesto to look at as well?
I'm sure there will be one. You can log into our South Camp's website and see the manifesto. But definitely I have one, which if I'm elected, will try to implement as much as possible.
Okay, so that's what matters for the residents of Queen Edith then.
Absolutely.
Excellent.